This is Imogen Clark, and you're listening to No Good Music.
I don't wanna listen if you're only gonna sing it without me, babe. I don't wanna give it if you're only gonna take it away again. 'Cause I can feel it when you're gone, but is there something missing when I'm not? I wanna be the love you can't stop. I wanna be a big one, big one. I don't wanna listen if you're only gonna sing it without me, babe. I don't wanna give it if you're only gonna take it away again. 'Cause I can feel.
We have a special guest with us today. She's a singer-songwriter from Australia and currently just moved to Nashville. On May 31st, she will release her third full-length album titled The Art of Getting Through. Let's all welcome to No Good Music, Miss Imogen, I'm going to say your name, Imogen Clark.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Hello, hello.
Hello. How are you guys going?
Good, good.
Good to see you.
You're in your evening
Lovely
wear.
to see you. I promise this is not pajamas. This is actually a going out top, but I know
Okay.
it looks like pajamas
Oh,
from the
okay.
top.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you are now in Nashville.
Yes, I just moved here 1 week ago, just over a week ago. So
Wow.
very excited to be here. It's kind of surreal to actually be living here for the first
Mhm.
time. I've visited so many times in the last
Okay.
10 years, and now I actually get to call it home, which is very fun.
Yeah. That was something I was wondering if you have visited before, and it's many times. Yeah. That's great.
Yes, yeah. This has always been a bit of a home away from home for me, and I tried to come as often as I could. And obviously, it's a long way from Australia, so
Mhm.
it's hard to make it happen. And now I'm stoked. I've finally got my working visa, and I can
Okay.
live here properly for an extended period of time, which is amazing.
Wow.
And how did the move go for you, especially moving the fragile things like guitars and such? Did it go well?
Thanks for asking. It was quite stressful. I mean, moving house at all is stressful, and then moving to another country is just kind of crazy. I'm lucky that I have some wonderful people that helped me out back home in Australia, and my
Mhm.
parents have helped me a lot. They took a bunch of my instruments that I didn't need to bring here, and I'm
Mhm.
storing them at their place. And so it's very, very lucky to have good people around me to help, because it's like a completely insane process, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I've moved about 10 times in my life, and I've moved from one state to another.
Yeah. I helped you a few
Yeah.
times in the beginning. Yeah.
But I can't imagine. I mean, did you have a place already in Nashville from before when you were there? Or you staying with friends until you find something? I don't want to get too personal, but
Yeah, no, you're right. It's again, I'm very lucky in that my lovely manager actually lives here in Nashville, so
Okay.
I am living with him for a time until I can, find a place of my own and settle in here a bit. But I'm very lucky in that instance. I didn't have to I've heard a lot of Aussies moved over here and had to basically, sign a lease sight unseen when they hadn't actually been to the place yet in
Oh,
person. They'd only seen
right,
photos.
yeah.
So that would be so stressful, and I would hate to be doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm very lucky.
yeah, so you can ease in
Yeah,
a
that's
little
great.
bit better
Great.
with that.
All right. Well, I'm
Yeah, absolutely.
drinking coffee, and we often ask, "What are you drinking?"
What are you drinking?
Yeah, honest.
What do you want to
I'm a latte girl.
Okay.
Latte and oat milk. Yeah, I bet
Okay.
you. Do you sometimes get people going, "No, this is just whiskey. This is all whiskey."
Yeah.
I saw that on a meme. It's when you're doing a Zoom meeting, blow on your beer once in a while. They'll think it's coffee. They're like, yeah, this
Or
is
hot chocolate.
No one will ever know.
cooling it down.
Yeah. As long as it's not a clear glass.
Yeah.
So we want to go way back in your life, because in your bio on your website, it says that you were trained as an opera singer at the age of 8.
Is that
And
true?
I imagine it was your parents' idea, or was it I mean, at 8, were you in the opera? Were you?
Yeah, no, so it's a funny story. I kind of, I grew up with a dad as a musician. So my dad plays bass and sings and writes songs. And so I just grew up around musical instruments and lots of musical influences and sort of just feeling like that was a really natural path to take. But my parents never pushed me into anything, which was really lovely. Like they weren't stage parents. They just noticed that I had started singing a lot. And I would, my cousins and I would put on these little plays at Christmas. We'd little kids putting on silly plays for the family. And I had to sing in one of these plays. And my dad said to me afterwards, "Oh, you've got a really nice voice. Do you like to sing? And would you like, if Mum and I got you some lessons, would you like that?" And I remember being like, "Yeah, I love to sing." So I ended up going to this amazing singing teacher in Western Sydney, which is where I grew up. And she was just this incredible, like, grandma age to me at the time. And she was so strict and very on top of everything. She was an opera singer, musical theatre singer. And so that's what she taught me. And I think it's not like I was listening to opera, I was a kid, but I really committed to it. And
but to train your voice.
I loved it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I did. Yeah, because it really taught me so many great techniques. And now I feel like I can sing for a really long time without losing my voice because I got these really great techniques when I first started singing. And so I'm so grateful for that training now.
Right. And to have that classical training that, like you said, for strength, so many people who don't have that, they would be, they can get the tone and they don't have the strength to keep going. They'll strain. Yeah, that's so true.
That's right. It's stamina. It's really hard to keep, especially with a hectic touring schedule, you have to be able to look after your voice. It's so important.
Right. What were some of the artists that influenced you? You just talked about singing, but in songwriting, in those early days, what influences would you have?
So I really grew up on like classic rock. Like my dad is a huge Led Zeppelin fan. And so I was really influenced by a lot of rock music. And I loved Led Zeppelin and like Violent Femmes and all this kind of rock stuff. But then my mum was like super into singer-songwriter, like softer stuff like Elton John and Simon and Garfunkel. And so I got this really great mixture of influences from them. And then as I got a bit older, I discovered Joni Mitchell's music, which made a huge impact on me, sort of taught me what sort of a songwriter I wanted to be and how I wanted my music to influence people and to impact on people's emotions.
Right. That's a full range.
I know you've I actually listened today to I think it's called, is it called The River or River? It might be called just River. Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, River. Yeah.
That is one of my favorite. It's considered
so beautiful.
And it's considered a Christmas song, I guess, because it talks about skating and
it's a frozen river then.
Your version is I love your version because I've heard other people's, including Joni Mitchell, of course, and I think James Taylor. The one I love is Sarah McLachlan, her version. I like her voice.
She's so beautiful. I haven't heard her version, but I love her voice and she's gorgeous. I mean, that's just one of the most heartbreaking
songs. You should hear her version because with the the inflections in the vocals. I mean,
wow, I'll check that out. Yeah. I used to do a full, hopefully I'll bring it back again, but I used to do a Joni Mitchell show in celebration of 50 years of the album Blue. And I used to do River and all the songs on Blue and some other songs as well. So I did that back in Australia. So maybe at some time I'll bring it to the US.
That's awesome to hear that. We didn't know. So you did that live or that was recorded? You did those live?
Yes, live shows at all around Australia, but we debuted it at a place called The Basement, which is it's an iconic Sydney venue.
We have not been to Australia yet.
You got to give it a go. Got to get out there.
I do not like to fly.
But you do fly. You do fly. We travel different places.
Well, the farthest is Sweden, Stockholm. I've been there twice.
Okay. How long is the flight to Sweden?
It's a total about 9 hours.
Wow. Okay.
You have to go to Iceland. It's like one leg is 5 hours, and then you have an hour, and then another 4 hours. That I can handle.
Okay. Look, it is quite frightening when you think about. I mean, the route I normally take is from Sydney to Dallas to Nashville, and the Sydney to Dallas is about 16 hours, so
Right.
nonstop. So
I mean, you can
it's
sleep
one of
most
the
the time,
longest
I guess.
flight. Exactly. If you have something to knock you out and get you to sleep, that's kind of a good, that's a good thing. It's quite hard.
That's the same length as the longest one. I went to Hong Kong, and so I went from Philly to Chicago or Seattle across the Pacific. And so 16 hours is what I remember. And it wears on your mind because I couldn't sleep much. Then it really...
Yeah, and it does make
wears.
you feel like, it makes you a bit scared when you're going across an ocean for that long as well. You're sort of feeling like it's a bit frightening. But if you can sleep, it's all right. It is one of the longest, I think it maybe is the longest flight or one of the longest flights they can do without stopping to refuel.
Yeah. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
We do have listeners in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a new friend. His name, I want to give a shout.
Yeah.
Ken Cook, his name is. And he, I don't know where in Australia he lives, but we'll message each other. I figure out what time it is there and what,
Yeah.
But we talk about music all the time.
So
that's so nice.
Yeah.
So I was wondering about this. I didn't mention this earlier, but we interviewed someone else from Australia.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a...
It was a very unusual interview.
This guy's in Melbourne, and his name's Plastic EP.
Do you know
That's
him?
what he goes by.
Plastic EP, yeah.
No, I've never heard.
He has a large
I've never
following.
heard of him.
He interviews people. He's the one that got us doing interviews. I'm like, maybe we should start interviewing. This was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But when we interviewed him,
it was unusual.
We didn't have to have any questions. He just kept going, and so he's a character.
I set the papers down, and he kept going. Yeah. He kept going.
Look him up because he's done. It's all music shows. Like he'll have a group of people and he'll talk about the Beatles and the Monkees. He's on his. I think he did 1,000 shows already in the last couple of years. He'll get up at 4 in the morning. He'll get up at 4 in the morning to interview something because he's retired, So
his name's Plastic EP.
Gosh.
Anyway,
Plastic EP. I'm gonna check it out. That sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
So one person, you mentioned the Violent Femmes, but also on your website, you mentioned Bruce Springsteen, and we are from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're in New Jersey right now.
There's actually three major. Well, there's more than three music people that have come from New Jersey. One of my favorite bands is the Smithereens. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
I do know them.
They played Australia. Yeah,
we know them well. We know them personally.
Yeah. And then
amazing.
Bruce, and one person I don't like is Bon Jovi.
Oh, you can't say you don't like. You don't appreciate. You don't appreciate the Bon John Bovi.
As a person, he is a great person. So anyway, Bruce Springsteen.
Well, that's really cool, though. That's really cool. Yeah, Springsteen is my favorite. I mean, hey, but I love.
Have you ever seen Bruce in concert?
Yeah. So
I have. I've seen Bruce. I've seen Bruce a few times now. I've been very lucky to see him a few times. Once in, actually, I've seen him twice in Australia. Once in Sydney, and once at a place called Hanging Rock outside of Melbourne. And at the Hanging Rock concert, what was really cool is that he had an opening act by the name of Diesel, who is an amazing rock artist in Australia. Okay. He is someone that, we really, he's had some major success in Australia over a 30-year career. And I was opening for Diesel's shows at that time in my life. And he said, I'm opening for Springsteen at Hanging Rock. Do you want to come and sing with me?
Wow.
Cool.
And I was like, that's incredible. So I got to sing a Bonnie Raitt song, or originally John Prine, Angel from Montgomery, as a duet with Diesel as he opened for Springsteen at Hanging Rock. So I felt like I was like one person removed. I was like, this is the closest I'll be to Springsteen. But then I got to watch the show and it was incredible. I've also seen him in Hyde Park in London. He is one of my biggest inspirations as far as like anthemic, cathartic rock, sort of rock pop, and so
poetic,
relatable. Like so poetic, it's so relatable. He really catches the everyman's emotions and experiences in life and the struggles.
He's like Tom Waits, but maybe you can more listenable.
Yeah. Well, we've always liked Springsteen, but I really love Western Stars from just 4 years ago or so.
That's a great album. Western Stars.
Yeah,
It just
absolutely.
feeds my soul. Western Stars. And then, of course, if you listen to Western Stars, then you go and listen to the soundtrack to the movie. It's all different. It's all live. Same orchestra, same band. And it's a different feel. It gives you a whole different feel of the same songs for Western Stars.
Amazing.
The movie was great, too.
Yeah. I saw Bruce once, and it was the Born in the USA tour. Mm-hmm. Not to date myself.
No way.
Yeah.
That's 40 years old now.
Yeah.
That album. Isn't that
80?
crazy?
Is it 80? Oh, 40.
40 years old, yes.
Yeah,
1984.
40 years old now, which is insane. Like just the
when
other
he
day,
played in Philadelphia, I just realized recently he did 3 shows there. So I was at one of them. I don't know what date it was, but if you go on YouTube, someone took video. I couldn't find myself. I don't know what show it was, but it was this I think it's at the Spectrum, which is no longer there.
Yeah,
but you get to see someone took video of the crowd. They're on the floor. It's incredible video because you get to see the 80s haircuts and
that's pretty cool.
capturing. And while he's performing on stage,
love that.
Yeah, he's doing a medley.
I love that. I wonder if he played Streets of Philadelphia. If it was the Philly show, that's really cool.
I don't know.
I think that was after.
Yeah, it might not
Born in the USA.
Of course.
Maybe he was inspired.
Yeah, that wasn't even written yet.
Yeah.
We're talking to you from about halfway between New York and Philly. Just if you want to picture where we're at, we're about an hour and a quarter to get to either of the cities.
Yeah, either of Philly or New York.
Yeah. Wow,
mostly Philly.
Amazing. Well, I just came from Philly yesterday. I just flew back from Philly back to Nashville.
City Winery. Right?
We were both there last year. Go ahead, not to play, to watch, but go ahead. City Winery, how was your show?
Oh, so actually, I'm not playing there until the end of this year. So October-ish is when I'm playing in Philly, but I am coming back to play. But I was actually just in Philly this time for a radio convention called non-convention. So just an amazing radio convention where I got to meet so many of the fantastic people that are playing my songs at stations across the United States, and everyone comes together for these great panel events and performances at night. The Black Crowes played, Fontaines DC played. It was just a really great few days, and I got to thank a lot of people in person, because I've been coming here to the States for a long time, but it's really helpful when people play your music on radio stations. It just gets it out so much faster and so effectively. And so getting to actually meet those people in person and put a face to a name and an email address was really, really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And of course, talking to you and getting thank yous from you personally, that would really, the network, I'm sure, was great. Yeah. That's cool. I think
it was beautiful. It was a really nice experience.
Yeah, radio conventions. Yeah.
Do you have a date for City Winery? Do you have a date for City?
Yes, I can. It hasn't actually been announced yet, but it's sometime in October. So I can send it through to you guys though when I have it. It's really it's in October. I'm opening for Robin Hitchcock.
Oh,
so that'll be a really fun show. Love him.
I've been wanting to see Robin Hitchcock. I've never seen him before.
Yeah,
he was in Montclair.
Oh, you've got to come along.
If you haven't figured it out yet,
actually, I think we're playing both. I think we're playing Montclair and we're playing Philly.
At Outpost in the Burbs, it might be because he's played there before. It's a church. Yeah. It's a church. It's an interesting.
Oh, that's where I was with you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great venue.
I saw Beth Orton there. Like maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, beautiful.
And I went by myself. I usually don't like to go by myself, but I wanted to see Beth Orton. Mm-hmm. And I was disappointed because she didn't come out afterwards. I wanted to meet her,
but that church
that's a shame.
That church is beautiful. The setting is just beautiful. It doesn't matter who's on stage. It's rich. It's just rich. Yeah.
The Smithereens have actually played, and they are loud. And they were handing out. Whoever organizes the concerts were handing out earplugs if people wanted them. Because the acoustics sound kind of bounces off the walls. Yeah.
Wow, that's really funny. I must be, I'm such a grandma at heart because I've been carrying earplugs with me all of my life. I always have them in my handbag just because I take my ear health so seriously. And as a musician, I'm I want to be doing this for the rest of my life. I want to do this till I die. So I don't want to lose my hearing. So I always have earplugs on me, like all the time.
That's so smart. It's the right thing to do, to have them available.
I'm bad with that. I bring them with me, but then I never put them in. Like I just saw.
Yeah.
I just saw a band called Mammoth last week.
You should quiz her. Does she know? Do you know Mammoth?
No.
Okay. The lead singer guitarist is Eddie Van Halen's son, Wolfgang.
No way. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that he was in music too. That's great.
He has 2 albums out, and they're loud.
I wasn't there. You're going back now, right?
Yeah, let's go. Let's talk about your video for your new single, The Noise. Let's go back to Bruce. So you're kind of, this video, I love it. You're paying homage to Dancing in the Dark by Bruce Springsteen.
Yes.
And you're kind of, I don't want to say mimicking, but kind of copying or, some of the camera angles.
Making things similar to. Yeah, there you go.
And you're wearing a Bruce Springsteen shirt. Tell us how the video came out. I mean, we know now that you love Bruce Springsteen. So was this something you've been wanting to do, or you just one day thought this song went with? Yeah,
how did those two meet?
Yeah, so I guess it kind of started as a bit of a joke between my manager and I, because Jeremy, his name is, we were talking about it one day, and it kind of came about for a few different reasons. One of the reasons was that I often get people, and I don't really see the resemblance except for my hair, but I often get people telling me that I look like Courtney Cox. Okay. And so I had that sort of in my head, and then we made a joke that, like, wouldn't it be funny if we did that music video, like that iconic moment where Courtney Cox gets pulled up on stage, and that was one of the first sort of big moments for her where she was, exposed to a big audience. And wouldn't it be funny if we did that in reverse, where like the Courtney Cox kind of figure was the one that started on the stage and then pulled a version of Bruce up there. And then it kind of was just born from there, where we thought this would be a really cool idea, because we could kind of do like a pretty well shot for shot remake of this video and do it in our own way and kind of spin the gender roles, which would just be really fun, and like obviously paying homage to an artist that I adore, and that's one of my favorite of his videos. And so I spent all this time like watching that video and trying to like mimic the 80s dancing, and it was so fun, because I was just like, it's just not the way I naturally would move. So I was like, I was trying to like, it's a lot of like arms out to the side,
pretend you're a monkey.
It was so fun. It was so much fun, and we had such a good time. We filmed it at a venue called Oxford Art Factory, which is in Sydney. We had a great band and great crew and some extras who were dancing along, and then we had our male leading man. His name was Jaron, and he got up. He played the Courtney part basically, and got up and danced with me at the end. So it was just a really fun, like, great way of kind of recreating this video that we loved, while also kind of, it also kind of relates to the message of the song, because the song is really about the fact that there's a lot of pressure on women as they age, especially in pop music. The idea that women lose their value after, once they move past 30, it's like they don't matter anymore, and and so a lot of it was kind of the empowering feeling of being, putting the female character in the lead, most empowered position in the video. So it was really fun, and it was just a great time on set.
Yeah, I love that.
Awesome.
So now I want to talk about, I've been a huge fan of Men at Work for a long time.
Yeah, all the way back to mid-'80s. Yeah.
And it's unbelievable to me that they only put out 3 albums. I mean, I know Colin Hay has many solo albums.
They were received well here, by the way, back at that time. Yeah. Pop radio playing Men at Work. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Down Under.
Lay 'Em Down Under, or whatever it's called. The most popular song.
But that's
so yeah.
I mean, I still, even though it was overplayed, it's one of the overplayed songs that I don't mind hearing.
It still works.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just 3 years ago, in 2021, you had the opportunity to work with Colin Hay. The song was called First Class Man. I noticed the video. I don't think he's in the video. Is that true? So I don't know.
No.
Okay. Did you record this together in the studio, or was this, like, tell us about this song and how it came about?
Sure. So Colin and I got connected through a mutual songwriter friend of ours, and the beautiful thing is that Colin is an absolute superstar. He's such a renowned songwriter and
Mm-hmm.
performer, and he's had such a storied career, and he really didn't need to say yes to writing with an emerging artist from Australia, and yet he did, which was so beautiful. And he welcomed me to his home outside of LA in Topanga Canyon, and we had this beautiful time where we sat in his studio and we just chatted about music. And then I mentioned to him that I'd been wanting to write a song for a friend of mine whose name was Glenn Hanna. He was a beautiful guitarist and musical director who had been musically directing my band in Australia for a few years. And just the year prior, we'd lost Glenn. He'd lost his battle with depression, and we lost him. And it was a really, really awful experience that was surprising because I and many others had no idea how much he was struggling with depression until he was gone.
Yeah.
So it was a really devastating time, and I was trying to make sense of it, and I really wanted to write Glenn a song, but doing it by myself was proving to be really, really hard. And so I took the idea to Colin, and he was so gracious and kind, and he had been through a similar experience himself over the years. So we wrote this song called First Class Man for Glenn. And when it got time to record it later that year, it became something where we felt we would love to have Colin's voice on it, kind of providing this almost this kind of ghost-like, very haunting vocal. And he was, again, so gracious and said yes. And I still, I grew up listening to Colin's voice.
Yeah.
He's such a brilliant singer and a brilliant songwriter. So he sent his files in from LA, and we were in Australia at the time because we were in lockdown in Sydney. And we got sent these vocals from Colin, and we put them over what we'd done, and it was just like the most surreal and beautiful experience. So already the song was so special to me, but then also having his voice added into the mix made it even more special.
Yeah, Colin has a great soothing voice.
Right. So again, for people who are listening, the name of that song is First Class Man. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Colin in, I don't know if you know, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, near Allentown. I don't know.
Oh,
if you know.
yeah. Yeah.
That's where I live. Yeah.
They have, every year they have Music Fest, which is something you should, even though you're in Nashville, it's in August. It's 10 days. And they have smaller stages. They have bigger stage. They'll have big acts. They have so many bands.
Many styles of music. I believe it's
10 days of music, food. Yeah. So anyway, Colin was on one of the little stages. Literally, you brought chairs, and we were sitting on the lawn there.
Wow.
My wife was next to me, and then I had to go to the bathroom or something, or get a beer. And my wife said, Colin came, I guess he took a break, came off the stage and was like talking, like I missed meeting him.
Oh no!
Sometimes that happens.
When I came back, he was back on
so
stage.
Annoying.
Again.
Colin was just here. You missed him.
Oh my God. He was very personable. He's a lovely, lovely man. And I've gotten to interview him back in Australia. We have a Songwriters Awards called the APRA Awards. And I was hosting the red carpet and got to have a good chat with him he was winning a Lifetime Achievement Award. So he's a very, very big deal in Australia. And obviously he has, that has translated to overseas. Everyone loves him over here too.
I have to check out more of his solo albums. I don't know too much about.
Yeah.
I have the 3 Minute Work album. I started collecting vinyl like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm up to 500. I have to not get.
But see, this is all again. You have to realize that his album vinyl collection was huge, starting in probably 1975. But you know how it went with technology, yeah. So when he says I've got them, he pretty much means I've got them all again.
Yeah, I'm rebuying.
Wow.
In the 90s, I sold all my albums, and I started getting CDs.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, maybe we should.
They're on the other side of this.
Our CDs.
They're on the other side of this room.
Yeah.
Here. But
so how about the new album?
Well, I have one more thing before we get into it. I just want to tell you, when I saw Mammoth, last weekend, and the band before them was called what the heck were they?
I don't know. Wasn't there?
Alternatives or something like that. I don't know. So they were like two guitarists, a bass player, and a drummer, and it was all instrumental, and it was like progressive, like hard stuff. So when I'm driving home, I want to listen to something, you know, a little bit lighter. So I put you on shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm listening to
thanks.
you, so as I'm listening to you, you know, for maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'm thinking you sound like someone, and it's not Courtney Cox because I know she doesn't sing, but
No, this person's popular in the 80s. Is that right?
But I don't know if you've been compared to, yeah, it was an 80s singer, Sheena Easton. If you listen.
No, I've never even heard of her.
No, My Baby Takes the Morning Train. That was really popular here. Strut. She had a song.
I'm going to check this out.
Check out Sheena Easton. I don't think she's done anything recently, maybe, but check out some of her 80s.
Cool.
And I'm serious, you have similar voice.
Yeah.
So then I started listening to Sheena Easton. So anyway.
Yeah, I've not heard anything of her recently. Yeah, not recently.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, Sheena
I'll
Easton.
check that out. I haven't heard of her before. That sounds great. I'll have a listen.
Okay. So your new album, let's talk about that. So like I said, it's your third studio album. I feel this is a little bit of a departure, even though you have some other songs that are a little bit more, this has a bigger sound to me. Some
richer.
of the songs than your past recordings.
Definitely.
And it's called The Art of Getting Through. It comes out in a couple weeks, May 31st. And I love the cover.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of a simple cover, but I interpret it as sometimes we have only maybe ourselves to carry us through tough times or get us to a better place in life.
And you are carrying yourself through.
Yeah,
so is
and
that...
you with the big move, and I mean, what does the cover
represent or mean to you? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a great interpretation, and honestly, it is that. It's really the idea of I would sort of sum it up by saying you have to be your own hero. I grew up with a really strong feminist mother, and she would always tell me that, you know, the cavalry's not coming. It's your job to pick yourself up, and no one's here to save you from situations. It's all up to you to kind of lift yourself through it. And I think part of the meaning, you know, this whole album really is about the idea that, like, there is no fresh start in life. There's not really a clean slate. Sometimes you can't get over things. Sometimes you carry them with you, but you can learn to get through and the things that you struggle to get through are the things that make you who you are. And you don't forget your past self. You carry yourself with you at all times, and your past versions of yourself, you carry them with you, but you learn and you become refreshed and new just through moving through life and its challenges. So that's really the theme of the album, and it's reflected in the beautiful, beautiful cover art, which is by an incredible Melbourne-based photographer and creative director named Julia McGoran. She's just absolutely stunning. Her art is beautiful.
Is that photography and like illustration sort of
combination? It looks like. Yeah.
So Julia is known for she's done some incredible artists over the years, and she's known for her beautiful, she combines her photography with brilliant sort of illustration and art. And as you can see, if you look closely to that image of the front cover of the album, is, you know, there's a big, I'm like giant, and in the background there's a cityscape, which is kind of meant to represent Sydney and Western Sydney, where I grew up. And so she's really taken a lot of personal elements of my life and put it into this piece of art. So I really truly couldn't have picked a more representative piece of art, or, you know, to represent this album.
I really like what you said there, just in the overarching theme here, that we can't, you know, someone, your listeners, you know, listening to the songs, you can't get rid of that thing. You have to deal with it, carry it with you. You're going to bring it along. Hopefully it's, you know, just tucked in your pocket. Hopefully it's not in your face, right? Yeah. But, you know, you can't crush it. You can't cut it off. You carry it with you. I think that's an important point.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe that, like, the only way out is through. I once heard Sheryl Crow say that, and it really made a huge difference on me because it's true. In an ideal world, we'd all like to skip the hurt and the pain that comes along with being a human being, but you actually can't. I mean, not only can you not do that, but it wouldn't be wise anyway, because that's how you learn and that's how you grow. And so, that's really
the
theme of the record.
You got to keep moving.
Right. I was just listening to Sheryl Crow on the way over here to the studio. My favorite mistake. So it's interesting that you bring up Sheryl Crow.
She is another huge influence, another big influence on me. I absolutely adore Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
I like her new album. Her new album came out like a month ago, maybe. I like that. Her new album.
Oh, great. I haven't actually listened to it yet. I need to check it out. Her self-titled record will always be in my top 5 greatest albums of all time, in my opinion. I think that's just such a perfect record. The production, the songwriting, everything.
I remember what was it? Leaving Las Vegas? Was that her first single?
I don't remember.
Her very first. I was intrigued by her.
Yeah.
I mean, she's had some in between, which I wasn't too. But the new album seems more kind of going back to her roots a little bit more. I mean, it sounds like more older show. Not that people shouldn't change, musically, but sometimes they do change in a way where it's not good, too. But
it's a difficult time.
But there's 13 songs on the album. You released 6 singles. What's odd is on Apple Music, when you look at your album, it indicates only 4 singles that you can click on,
and the rest are hidden.
And then the other 2 are actually separate as singles,
and you can't click on them there on the list, on the set list.
In the album.
That's
but you can still find it. You need to look for it. You need to lok for it, and you find it on Apple Music.
It could be a country thing, but the other ones are as singles. So at first I thought they weren't on the new album, but they are. I mean, one is Squinters, and the other one is the Noise is the other one. So anyway,
interesting. I'm a Spotify user, so I haven't noticed that, but that's really interesting.
This is on Apple Music.
I wonder why.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you could tell us about maybe a couple songs from the album.
Specifically,
I mean, 2 that stand out to me are All Hard Feelings. I love that song. And I think both Matt and I are intrigued by Squinters. And Squinters, the chorus really reminds me of Amy Mann. Like, I could hear Amy Mann. Like, it has that Amy Mann kind
of... The feel, the flow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Maybe the chords
thank you. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to tell us about these 2 songs, or maybe a couple of songs that mean a lot to you, or like the writing of the song, or the
and
idea
specifically the word squinters. I mean, is a squinters a noun? We don't say squinters in the U. I don't. It's not in my vocabulary. So is it in the vocabulary of Australia?
It's so easy to bend time. All my shirts on the clothesline. Now I'm dancing in halftime, and I'm wondering, why did I take a left turn? All it gave me was heartburn. You'd think that one day I might learn, but it's thundering outside. Got a soul full of splinters, driving home with the squinters. All the summers are winters in disguise. I like to tell myself.
Yes, so that is definitely, I love that you use the word intriguing to describe that song, because that's definitely the word I would use as well. It's kind of the most probably like left of center song on the record that's a little bit out of the box. So I wrote that song with Steve Poltz, who I love and is an incredible songwriter, and I've seen him play many times, one of my favorite live performers. He and I got together, and I was talking about the fact that I had been, I'd been thinking about the fact that there was another way my life could have gone. And that is that, I grew up in a small town, and I could have very easily not have left that town and ended up settled with someone that I went to high school with, and having a family that I maybe didn't particularly want just because that's what people did. And sort of not really taking a chance on this whole music thing and working a 9 to 5 job in Sydney that I hated. And how easily my life could have gone in that direction versus the direction it's ended up going in. And when Steve and I were talking about this, I said in Western Sydney, in Sydney, we call people who live out west of Sydney, we call them squinters. And the reason for that is that if they're working a 9 to 5 job in the city, they're driving home into the western part of Sydney as the sun is going down. So they're squinting into the sun every afternoon. And he was really intrigued by that word and thought, that's really cool. And we should definitely make that like the center of the song. And so the whole song is really the fever dream nightmare that my life could have been if I didn't pursue the life that I have pursued. So it's meant to sound like a real sort of druggy haze of a dream. And I feel like we definitely achieved that. It's a very weird song. It's a very weird song.
We did pull out the one lyric about suburbia.
Yeah,
it's something about rubbers. She doesn't want to
galoshes, rubbers. Yeah,
she really doesn't want to have a family or
Well, it's also something important to talk about, in my opinion, because like I understand that everybody, people change and people's opinions change, and that is possible. But for me, I'm a 29-year-old woman. I'm not interested in having a family, and maybe that will change, but I don't think it will. And I don't hear people talk about this a lot. And I think it's important that we do discuss the idea that for some people, the idea of having kids is a nightmare, and we don't want that. And it's okay not to want kids. Not everyone needs to have kids, and they probably shouldn't. I think, that's part of it as well, was I wanted to talk about it.
Right. In my parents' generation, it was assumed you would. And in our generation, it was something we would think about. Just think about, but still assume that it's what you do.
Well, I was like 37, 38 when we had my son.
Yeah.
So we had been married a while, but I only have one son. He's 20.
Yeah,
now.
That's amazing. And you just want to do it if and when it's right.
And I know people that do not have kids, didn't want to have kids. When I was younger, I own my own print shop now, but I always worked in a print shop. But I remember this one couple, and she would mostly come in, and they had their own company, and she was driving a really nice car. And I think she even talked to me about, not that we got into it because I was really young then, probably in my mid-20s, where she didn't want to have kids. And I thought that was the strangest thing. I was probably like 22 or something.
But again,
and you think that that's what you do.
Right. We're indoctrinated. At our age, we were indoctrinated as teenagers and 20-somethings to
get married.
That was the thing to do still. Yeah. So it's a very good topic. I'm reminded, I did come up with another squint. We do use squint in the U.S. In the trades when I work as an electrician. And anytime you work where there's some danger of maybe getting hit in your eye, the joke is, where's your safety glasses? And the joke is, a reference is made to squinting, as if that's good enough. I'm squinting, or there's another term for it. But like you're working a circular saw, and there's
barely see.
And the joke is, of course, as if that's going to save you. It's not when a piece of wood chip or metal comes up at you. But that's where we use squinting.
Oh, that's cool. I like this double meaning. Could create a whole new meaning for the song.
But it's great to hear that it's the people driving home into the sunlight, the sunset. Yeah.
Are there any other? Is there another song that you could give us a little bit of? I mean, the other song, like I said, was all heart filling.
Yeah.
Lost my mind trying to understand yours, even though I knew what I was in for. I can't remember what I did last week, but I can still hear a burnt CD. Hey, it's just another thing on repeat. I'm a mess, I'm a fraud, give you everything I got. Only see what you want, and what you want is a blonde. So I'll put you in my pocket and I'll carry you around with every fucker who ever let me down. I'm going under, singing I'm over it, fight for the glory.
Definitely. Oh, well, thank you. All Hard Feelings is one of my favorites for sure. And it was actually the last song that was written before we went in to start recording the album.
Oh, okay.
So the album spans a long time. The first, the earliest song was written sort of years back in like 2017 or 2018 and just didn't find a home until now. But the most recent song was a week before we went into the studio. So it really spans a lot of my 20s. All Hard Feelings is a song I wrote with two other Aussie expats who live in Nashville now. And their names are Sinead Burgess and Blake O'Connor, excellent songwriters and singers themselves. And I was going over to write with them, and I was kind of just feeling like I had a bee in my bonnet about the idea that I feel like I've never gotten over anything that's ever happened to me in my whole life. Like I feel like I'm so petty, and I carry these things with me, and I never forgive people. Like I kind of have this energy of like, being extremely, I'll forgive but not really forget or whatever, just feeling like I'm kind of holding on to this stuff more and carrying it around like this burden on my back all the time. And I wanted to like get this across in a kind of tongue-in-cheek, almost sort of a little bit funny way. And so we wrote the song called All Hard Feelings with this idea of like, I'm made of hard feelings, and I can't seem to get past it.
And you have all these guys in your pocket, supposedly.
Oh, is it part of the lyrics?
I'm just honestly, I just put people in the pocket and I carry them around. I'm just sort of like it's not something that I necessarily think is a good trait. I've just learned that it is who I am, and I have embraced it over the years.
That's an interesting thought. Having people in your pocket, like first of all, they're small. And they're not as big as you, but to keep them there or to bring them out, tell them something. There's a lot you can do with people. Yeah. I've never thought about having people in my pocket.
So you wrote that song.
Interesting.
You wrote that song in a week, you said, right?
Oh, it was like a week before we started recording the album. So we wrote it in just one day. We knocked the whole thing over in one day, and we used a lot of influences of like Tom Petty and Sheryl Crow. Actually, when we were writing it, we were like, what would they do? What guitar riff would they play?
And back to Bruce, my other co-host, his name's Jeremy. We do a little. I do album anniversaries, like music news and stuff. So we did talk about Born in the USA. And one amazing thing is that Bruce claims that whoever was producing the album, I think it said John Landis, and I didn't do any research to see if it's the same guy that was the director. He was a director. He wanted one more song, and he wanted like kind of a hit song, like a song that would be radio friendly. And Bruce is like, I've written 70 songs already. You want me to write? And he literally wrote Dancing in the Dark. That was the last song overnight.
Wow.
Like that night, he came in the next day with Dancing in the Dark. So it's amazing.
Wow.
Songs that we are ingrained in our minds. A lot of the songs you find out took the littlest amount of time because it was so sporadic, and that's what makes it good. Then the songs that people spend months writing may not be the best, but the ones where you get this thought in your mind and you just write, it comes out. It just,
so true. That's so true. Like sometimes the last minute songs are the best ones, and they're the ones like when we wrote All Hard Feelings, we were like, we just know that this has to be on the record, even though it just scraped in time,
Yeah.
Right.
You have 4 shows coming up. Is there a plan for eventually maybe a full US tour supporting the album?
Definitely.
Because we already talked about you're in Philly. Originally, I had asking if you're coming to Pennsylvania or New Jersey, but you've already answered that.
Yeah, so I'll be there towards the end of the year, opening for Robin Hitchcock, and then the shows that are in Nashville and LA to launch the album. And who knows what else will come up. I mean, it's kind of all a work in progress, but that's what we've got in the books so far. And really looking forward to seeing more of America, because I've seen a lot of Nashville, I've seen a lot of LA, haven't seen a lot of anywhere else because I'm mostly just here to work. So it's going to be great to do some more touring.
Yeah, excellent. I was wondering too, on the way over, as I was listening to your the 4 songs or 5 songs, who else is on your current playlist? What other singer-songwriters or someone else that you've got turned on to in the last year or two? Who's some of your favorites?
Yeah, good
right now. We mentioned
good question.
from Tom Petty and Sheryl Crow and all the
Bon Jovi.
Yeah, you had to mention Bon. Anyway, so there's a question there.
Yeah, so I obviously longer than the last couple of years, but for many years I've always been a huge Taylor Swift fan, and I love everything she brings out. I'm very much into the Tortured Poets department right now, listening to that a lot. But also sort of artists that I've found and become in love with in the last few years, including, people like Maggie Rogers. I love her. Haim and Moona, these sort of pop bands that I absolutely adore. And also Chapel Roan, another pop artist whose music is just totally taking the world by storm at the moment. And I feel like she's just kind of on this upward trajectory. So yeah, a lot of singer-songwriter pop stuff is what I love to sink my teeth into these days.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't going to mention it unless you did, which is, I think the latest album does have a flavor that is similar to Taylor Swift. Yes, I can feel it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I've been listening to her since I was a teenager. I feel like I've grown up with her music, and I definitely studied at the songwriting and performance school of Taylor Swift.
I have like 6 Taylor Swift albums, believe it or not. I have the new one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I
don't tell a lot of people
very good,
that. But my other co-host, Jeremy, he's in the... We liked Taylor Swift years ago. And I always say before...
Yeah.
This is my joke. Before she joined the NFL.
Yes.
That's like... Yeah. But
it's
because now
it's tough with popularity. Yes,
it's amazing that she was such a huge artist, and she still is, even before she started dating the football player. But now it's almost like, I think with her tour and everything, she's become, who knew she'd become
larger
so
than life.
huge
Yeah.
that now everybody has an opinion on her. Like, it's almost like people just heard of her. It's amazing. She's been around a long time.
As if she's new, yeah.
And with social media, of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
tough.
we won't go into all that,
but you understand.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So one last thing, we were wondering if you have any stories that you could share with us, or a story being on the road, funny,
maybe in the US,
disturbing, unbelievable, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Let me think about it. So, I mean, I have definitely had like my share of crazy kind of gigs that, I mean, I've only had the pleasure of touring here once before, in the US. So I haven't done a lot of shows here, although I can't wait to do more. But definitely, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, someone asked me what my worst gig that I ever did was. And I was thinking about this gig I played in this tiny, like, mining town in New South Wales. And it was like a 5 or 6 hour drive from my hometown. And I drove there, and the money was really bad. And I remember thinking, no. Thankfully not. But it was in this, like, sorry, what was that?
Oh, nothing. Just making a reference to another Australian band and mining. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah. It was like this little pub in the middle of nowhere in this sort of outback town, and I remember, I found out later that this town was very much a like meth capital of New South Wales, like a lot of meth going on. That I walked into this pub, and I remember it was like happy hour after like all the tradies finished work for the day. And I walked in, this pub is absolutely full. Not one single woman in the entire, like, if there's like 200 people there.
Wow. Wow.
Everyone, no women at all. Everyone's a man, and even the staff. And I'm thinking, oh God.
What am I going to say? Right?
So you might have been the first woman they've seen in like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I hope that this goes okay. And also, how are they going to react to my emotional female rage feminist songs. This is going to be interesting. And I remember I played for 3 hours because it was kind of like a covers gig. I used to do a lot of that sort of thing for money. And I played for 3 hours, and I had I remember having a man come up to me in the break and tell me, you know, he said my least favorite words that anyone ever says to me at gigs, which is, "Can I give you some advice?"
Nice. Wow. Wow.
So immediately
it makes you want to say, okay. It makes you want to say no, but thank you.
From a minor.
Yeah. I was like, mate, I don't know if you
know that well, you know, in the mines that they could have an a cappella group going on down there with the acoustics and everything.
So was a man telling you what to wear or what to say?
It was pretty much everything. It was like, here's how you should sing. Here's the sort of things you should be singing. And then in my next break, a man started yelling at me to do, like, really yelling. And he was just going, "Sing Black Betty! Sing Black Betty!" And I'm like, oh my God, I can't play Black Betty. I'm just me and the guitar. What do you want from me? Like I can't do this. I'm playing acoustic guitar. So anyway, several things happened, and it was truly a night to behold. I remember going to bed thinking, I hope I never have to do this sort of gig again.
I was going to guess that you got there and it's an empty bar with one person who doesn't care. But no, it was full. It was full of men. That is outrageous. You must have felt... Did you go alone?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, did you go alone, or was a friend or a manager with you?
Thankfully, I actually took my mum, because when I was living in Sydney, I would often take my mum to these gigs where it was a long drive, because she would think, she would go, well, it's a weekend, so I'm not working, and I hate the thought of you driving these long drives by yourself and staying in these hotel rooms by myself, and which is so sweet, because I'm like, Mum, I'm a grown-ass woman. You definitely don't need to feel like you have to do that. But it was so sweet that she wanted to, and it gave us extra time to spend together. She's an angel woman. But she came along, and she was, get this, she's so funny, my mum. She was sitting there in the corner, only other woman in the bar aside from me, doing her crochet, just crocheting. And I just thought, we do not belong here, but that's fine.
Well, I'm trying to picture a bar. I'm trying to picture any bar that I would go into, you know, that would be just one gender or the other. Wow, that's wild. Yeah. I'm sorry that you got
I haven't experienced anything like that.
It's much better just to keep your mouth shut, you know.
Very funny.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, where can they go to? What's your website? Is it your name?
So you can go to imogenclark.com.au, and Imogen is spelled, I know it's a bit of a weird name, it's not as common here, but it's spelled Imogen, and then Clark is Clark with no E on the end, so Clark. So imogenclark.com.au, and that'll send you to all the socials and all the places where you can stream and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
That's great.
Thank you for taking your time today.
Yeah, and best wishes.
And hopefully we'll see you in Montclair.
Yeah, please keep in touch. That would be lovely.
Yeah, I'll let you know, and hopefully we can meet and maybe meet Robin Hitchcock.
Yeah, that'd be cool, yeah.
That would be great. Please, keep in touch. You've got our details through Monica. And you're welcome to update us on which show you want to come to or whatever as it gets closer. And it should be announced fairly soon. But let us know. I'd love to meet you guys in person. That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Great. And best wishes to you as you settle in Nashville and in Tennessee.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Looking forward to coming back over your way. Thanks, guys. You too.
Great.
Bye.
Great meeting you.
Bye.
Great to meet you too. Bye.
So here I am fading back in from black and white. It's in my veins to rage against the dying of the light. And it might be getting ugly, but it's just getting good. I had to hate so I could learn to love the place I stood. 11 everywhere I go.
You've been listening to No Good Music. Today's interview was produced and edited by Rob J. Lilly and recorded via Zoom at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, and almost anywhere you listen to podcasts. Exit music by the band 99%. The songs Big One, Squinters, All Hard Feelings, and The Noise from the upcoming album The Art of Getting Through, used with permission from Imogen Clark.